oh my God, I like want to go. I want him to do that for every song now. I'm like,
Right,
you
of
gotta,
course.
like, that was so, so cool. And I don't know, like hearing my name on the radio, like that was always a dream. And I got to hear that and it was so cool.
My name's Adam, and this is about you and your journey in music. And we'll talk about the EP coming out.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sweet. So, where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born in Indianapolis, but I grew up in the Chicagoland area.
Okay. How long did you live in Indianapolis? I can't speak right now. Sorry.
No, it's a fake city. Don't even worry about it.
Sure.
I think I lived there until I was like 9, and then I moved to Batavia, which is where I'm from, in like 3rd grade. I want to say that's 9 years old.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you are 9. Maybe 8. I don't know. No, 9.
I don't
somewhere around there.
honestly
Okay.
know. I stopped like keeping track like 5 years ago.
It's all good. So 9 years in Indianapolis, and then you move.
Yeah.
And there, that's like what, outside Chicago? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's like I think it's like 45 minutes by train, like outside of Chicago. It's like right next to Aurora, which is the most like famous Midwest city. I don't know. It's a place that I feel like a lot of people recognize. So
Okay. Rad. So
yeah.
what was it like growing up the first 9 years? Do you remember any of that before moving?
Oh, it was wonderful. I lived a very picturesque childhood for that first like 9 years. It was like we had a neighborhood dog and like we lived like next to like a sheep farm and it was just like very like rural and it was great. I'm the only one that remembers it though. I have 2 younger sisters and neither of them remember living there at all. So I like when I talk about it, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you guys move? Was it your parents' job or?
Yeah, my mom ended up getting a new job in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
But we also ended up wanting to move there because my grandfather passed away in 2009. We moved there in 2010, and we just wanted to be closer to my mom's side of the family, and they're all in Chicago. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Very cool. Any music in your bloodline, like your parents musical at all, or?
I not really. I think like the only one is my great grandma Vivian. She used to perform like on the radio at one point in time. Like she sang, and that was like their thing. But like I'm the first like technical musician.
Okay. And when did you start
Yeah,
playing music? That's cool. Have you like
I
do you have
think
recordings of that? I'm just curious now, of her
I've
on the radio.
looked.
Oh,
I've
okay.
looked. I don't even remember what the name of her little group was, but I've looked and there's like nothing. So I have to like feel like I have to go dig in some archives or something.
For sure. So what drew you to music and how did you get into it?
I think my answer is Taylor Swift.
Oh, really?
I yeah, I was so into her as a kid and I still am like a lot.
Same here.
But
I
she
love
was
her. I'm
like,
like obsessed with her.
no, me too. I'm like
Like
literally would
literally.
die for her. No, like
Same here.
actually, like same. I just remember like I listening to like her self-titled album and Fearless and being like, I love this. Like this is like giving me like access to all these emotions I've never felt before. And then I saw her at Speak Now in 2011 at her Speak Now tour, and I saw her. What like really confirmed me for me like wanting to do music was seeing her actually like at the Red tour in
Hmm.
2000. I think that was 2013. Just watching her like make this whole production out of an album that meant so much to me was like super super cool, and I was like, I want to do that. That sounds so fun, and she makes it look like it's like so easy, and I want to impress her. So that's like kind of how I got into it.
Okay. Did you start playing guitar?
I did. Guitar was the first one I learned. I started learning it in like 3rd grade, and then I got very very attached to piano in like 5th.
Okay. Do you still play guitar at all or just piano?
I play both.
Okay.
I'm not as great at either of them anymore. That's not 100% true. I just don't practice as often. But yeah, I play both.
Okay. And when did you start writing songs?
When I was in like 5th grade, I want to say it was like 11, but it could have been 10. But also, I think it was 11. So
So pretty shortly after you saw Taylor Swift.
Yeah, no, like almost immediately after. I remember like the first time I like actually tried writing something was like a week after seeing her live, which was like I was just in my room and I was like underneath my bunk bed and I was like I had my guitar and I was like, okay, I know some chords. Let me try some stuff. And then yeah.
Okay. So wow, that's pretty early to start writing music.
Yeah, well, and all of that I wrote about until like probably 8th grade was all just, you know, substantial like bullshit. Like it was not good. Like it was okay. I don't
Okay.
even remember songs that I wrote like before 14. So I'm scared if I ever find one day of being like, oh my God, this is where I started.
Did you record any of it? It sounds like you might have recordings of that somewhere.
I feel like I do. I feel like it's somewhere and I'm afraid of finding it.
You don't want to find it. Okay. Well, at 14 is when you started to write songs that you actually were proud enough to what, show people, or were you showing people the songs
Yeah.
prior to that? Okay.
So like my friend group and my parents and my family just kind of knew that I was like writing music, but I don't think I like started taking it super seriously till I was 14. Because like I don't know why, I just felt like it was really hard to obtain, and it still is, don't get me wrong. But I just worked really, really hard on making my songs sound good. And then when I felt comfortable enough to like present them to people, I like did. And then at the time I was taking voice lessons, and one of the guys at the place that I was taking voice lessons at was like, you want to, I could do a song for you. Like I could produce it. And I was like, sick. Okay, let's do it. And yeah, so it just kind of started there.
So he obviously knew that you wrote songs.
Yeah.
Okay. And were you showing these to your vocal teacher or no?
Yeah, no, I would literally like every lesson that I would do, I would like go in and be like, okay, I wrote a new song. I'm gonna play it for you now. And she'd be like, sick, this is awesome. And then yeah, I got really encouraged and it was really nice, like being surrounded by so many people who like were like, you write songs? Like that's cool. Instead of being like, focus on something else.
Right, right. No, that's awesome. You got validated pretty early on in your songwriting, it sounds like.
Yeah, I did. It's really weird to me. I think about it all the time of being like, how did anyone like I was like 14, 15. Like I was nowhere close to where I am now. And I'm still like, I cannot believe all these people believed in me. It was like just shocking. Just shocking.
Mm-hmm. Once you like, tell me about getting the courage to show that song, the first one you ever showed to somebody. Was that at your vocal lesson? Was it like, okay, I'm gonna come in here and let her know, or him or her know, I wrote this song? Like, how did that happen?
Like pretty much, yeah. Like it was literally just me going in and my a vocal coach, Andrea. I was like, so I'm like starting to write music and like I trust you and I want you to hear this and tell me what you think and go from there. And then literally up until I moved to LA, I was taking voice lessons with her and I like played her everything that I had written. And I still send her all of my demos, like everything that everything that comes through, because she's just an amazing woman and she always gives me really good feedback. So yeah.
Was she a songwriter also? Was it just she kind of help you with hitting the notes or whatever in the melodies as far as your voice went?
Pretty much. It was mostly focused on just getting me comfortable with singing and playing piano at the same time. Because that's like a really weird skill that you don't realize you have to master until it's too late. I don't necessarily know if she was a songwriter, but she does so much with music. Like she outside of being a vocal coach, like I know she does like band stuff and she like helps train people for musicals and yeah, she's like multi-talented.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool. So from that point, like once you start writing songs, 14, 15 years old, what do you do next? Do you start playing out at all, or are you showing them to other people? And what took you to LA? Like how'd you get to LA also? I'm curious.
Well, yeah. Well, mostly when I started like writing songs seriously, my main goal was to get them out on platforms. And so I submitted songs through TuneCore and I put them out and I was like, here we go, let's do this. And when I was 15, I went to Grammy Camp, which was this wonderful camp hosted by the Grammy Foundation for like music kids across the country. It was really, really cool. And I met some of the most amazing people, and I started working with those people and like staying friends. Like I'm pretty much friends with everybody that I met at that camp still. Like I would say they're still like in my life. And
That's rad.
Yeah, it's very cool to say 5 years later. And I like going to that camp gave me the confidence of being like, okay, like I'm not the only one who is like wanting this weird path that nobody else in the world expects to have, you know, like these are all people who have the same kind of drive as me. And like it just made me feel very comfortable. And so I was like, okay, now that I know that like people think I'm good, who actually like know what they're talking about, you know, like people my age, I guess, like I would be super weird about showing like anyone in my class my music, because I was like, they don't understand. They don't understand this journey.
Yeah. They're not involved. Yeah, right. They yeah, exactly. They don't understand what you're trying to do or going through. Right.
Yeah. So it was just very eye-opening. And then my mom actually was like, okay, whenever you want to get serious, like I know someone who knows someone. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me think about that. And I thought about it for a year, and I like worked on my songwriting super hard. And then I went to Jamie Soretta with it. I think he's the VP co-president of the Hypnosis song groups. I don't know what his role is anymore.
High
he's
up.
He's a big, big powerful dude.
Big wig.
Yes. And he's like an icon, amazing person. And I basically like I sent him like 40 songs, and I found out later that that's like a ridiculous amount to send. Like I was like, I like ordered them in like the like best to worst, and I was like, okay. And then
wait, so real quick, how did you get in contact with this person? Was that the friend of a friend that your mom knew?
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
So
okay.
My mom's friend was Jamie's college roommate. And so they were like this. And so I was like, cool, okay. And that was just basically how I got put in front of him. And yeah, we just had like a call, and he was like, this is really cool. Like, let's keep this conversation going. And then, you know, what was that, like 2-3 years later, I was like, okay, I'm gonna move to LA, and they offered me a publishing deal, which was super cool. And
wow.
Yeah, that's how I'm here.
Okay. Wow. So you got offered the publishing deal with 3 years? You said 3 years ago? Or okay.
I got offered it in 2020, so 2 years ago.
Okay,
2 years ago, actually, like next week. It was like February. I think it was February like 10th is when I got offered it.
Right before COVID happened.
Yeah.
Did you move to LA first, and then COVID happened?
Yeah. So I was here for like maybe 4 weeks before COVID took over, and it was like so fun. And then all of a sudden, just like immediate shutdown. Like I was across the country. This was my first time living by myself. Like I just turned 18, and yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. I learned a lot, but that was a really intense thing to go through by myself.
Oh, I can't imagine. So you're in LA was a big, I'm from San Diego, and I know LA very, very well. And obviously it's a huge city, and there's a lot going on. It's intimidating, right? It's the entertainment capital or whatever. Now you're there at 18, you're living by yourself, and then the world closes down. Like, how long do you stay there? Do you go back home to kind of, link up with your parents and be around people during this? Or
I thought about it. I think I remember telling my mom that I just felt like I couldn't go back. And it wasn't like about like not being welcomed back, because obviously like I'm super close with my family. And I think it was mainly just being like, if I can go through this pandemic by myself, then I can be comfortable living out here by myself. And so I just took that as like a personal challenge of like, I have to get through this somehow. And like, I have my cat, and that'll be good enough. And so, yeah, I was just like, I don't want to leave. I didn't want to move my cat either. That was another huge point. I was like, I don't want to bring him on a plane. I don't want to take him to a place that has dogs. Like he's fine here. I don't want to leave him. Like he's fine. And yeah, so Yeah.
Well, real quick to rewind a bit, prior to getting out to LA and landing this deal, when you sent 40 songs to this person, was that what year in school were you in? Was that when you were a senior in high school or prior to
I think I
that
was a,
or?
s- I think I was a sophomore.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you still had a little bit of school left.
Oh yeah, no, I was a sophomore, and we like started doing sessions with Dylan Gardner shortly after that. He's the wonderful human being who produced my first EP.
Okay.
And I think we started doing sessions because after that phone call with Jamie, he was like, if you're ever in LA, like we'll put you in sessions. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna book a flight then. Like I'm gonna hold you to that. I'm gonna hold you
Right.
to it. And then I did like a session before I want to say it was my 17th birthday. Yeah.
Okay.
And we did a first session for Nevermind, which was like the first song we started working on. And
Once you got to
Jamie was,
LA, or was
yeah,
this the
like
record
once
that
I
you're
got
talking
to
about
LA.
that got produced? Because I know this record came out in 2020, right? The EP. Did you have an
Yes,
EP before that one?
I didn't. No. So
Okay,
this
so
is
this is
the
the one that you're
2020
talking about.
EP.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. 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 So we started working on that in like I want to say 2018, 2019.
Okay.
And it was just like a one-off thing. Like I don't think anyone expected like it to like, I don't know, expand further than it did. Like I think they all had faith in me and like I was a good writer and like so on. But then my mom like got a call from Jamie like a month later and was like, dude, this is dope. Like let's do some more stuff. And I was like, okay. So then I started flying back and forth between LA and Batavia. Like I would go like once a semester and go for like 5 or 6 days and spend time writing and going to meetings and building connections, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got very, very, very lucky.
Well, did you put that record on 2020? Was that in February or was that after the pandemic had already hit?
No, it was February. I put it out on, I think it was February 14th. So it was like February 10th, I get offered a deal. February 12th, I moved to LA. And then February 14th, this EP comes out.
Oh my! And then March
Very
13th, the
intense week.
world shuts down.
Yep.
Did
Just like an
you?
entire month later. Just,
Oh man, was there
yeah.
big plans for the EP or like how did that affect? I mean, it sounds like you had the whole record or you did have the record done and out, right? And then the
Mm.
pandemic hits. How does that affect like the trajectory of like what you guys were doing with the record or what happened then?
Well, it's kind of funny. So we didn't have like any quote unquote plans.
Okay.
We just wanted to put it out and then like shop it around, see what people think of it. And that went great. And then the world kind of shut down as we were starting to like plan to do live shows and like talk about like going in front of labels and stuff. And like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that whole plan kind of fell apart. But then like during the pandemic, I ended up being able to work on this next EP. So I was like, you win some, you lose some. It's okay. Like
Right.
Cherries
So
did amazing on its own. So
yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, a lot of the songs did really well. I'm looking at Spotify numbers. One of them has well over 1.5 million plays.
yeah, which
That's
is
amazing.
so mind-boggling. I'm like, I don't understand how that happened.
That's so cool, though. And so you start working
Yeah.
on this new record. It's Garden of Eden. How quickly are you
Mhm.
working on that? Like, is that record out and you're like, okay, I'm here by myself. I got my cat. Now I've got to start working on what's next.
Like pretty much, yeah. So we were supposed to start the EP in May of 2020, like start doing production days for it. But Teddy Geiger, who did the whole EP with me, she was stuck in New York up until like the beginning of June. And
Mhm.
it was at that time where like New York was like the worst
Oh
like
yeah.
place to be for COVID. So she was like, I don't I don't like Zoom sessions. Like let's just wait until I can fly out there and quarantine and then we'll do it. And
Oh,
so
so she didn't want to do Zoom.
no, she's not a Zoom person.
That's cool. I mean, there's something about that, right? I mean, some people just, I mean, obviously she's like, no, 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 no. And other people kind of dig it. And I've heard a lot of mixed feelings on Zoom. Were you working on Zoom at all prior to her producing with you?
I was writing on Zoom like probably like 2 times a week or 2 to 3
Oh,
times a week. Yeah, it was a period of time. I I liked it. I liked it for the time being, but I much prefer writing in person. So yeah.
So she gets out,
But
and then how does that change the game or change the record? Or if it did?
it basically was just like, I would send her demos and I'd be like, okay, here's what I think is good, should make the EP. And then when she came out, it was basically just me quarantining constantly because I was so afraid of getting COVID and having this process like pushed even more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would like quarantine, I would get tested, and then we would go into the studio for like 4 days and then do like a week off, and then like pretty much the whole summer was just studio break, and then like just constantly getting tested and making sure that like we're not putting ourselves like in danger at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and it just basically looked like that until like October, and then we went into a studio. We went into Sound City.
Oh wow, that's rad.
Yeah, no, it's the coolest experience ever.
I heard there's like an energy in there when you walk in. It's just like this just crazy presence.
It is. And like there's a wall in the studio that I was in, there was like a wall where like all of the people who had like been in that room like signed, and I was like looking over and I was like, oh my god, like Panic at the Disco, like I think that's Phoebe Bridgers' thing. Like yeah, basically like every single thing. And I was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. So we did that. And
were you in the big room or the smaller room?
I think I was in room B, so I think that was a smaller room. But we got like to tour it, like the studio itself too, which was really, really cool. Like getting to go into, like they have like a chamber that's just for vocals, and it's like they were like, yeah, this is where like Stevie did all her vocals. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh my god.
She only sang like one of the best records ever written in there, right?
Oh
I think,
yeah.
Tom Petty recorded
in there.
That's
the reason I chose it.
Oh really? Okay, you're a huge Fleetwood Mac fan?
I am. Okay. No, I took a music history class when I was in high school, and we did like a whole week on that record.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was the coolest class ever. And I was like, okay, dream location is to record there now, because we like literally watched like the documentary on it. Like it was.
Oh, I was gonna ask you, have you seen that? Dave Grohl like owns the board now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when you go there, like the Wi-Fi is literally called Dave Grohl, and I'm like, I like just like stop. That was like awesome. The coolest part for me.
That is so awesome. Wow, what an experience to record this record there. And that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it was insane. And I think about it like all the time. Like it definitely set like the standard for how I want each one of my projects to go. It's like I want to bring it into a studio and hear it on studio speakers, and I want to record live stuff and have it like exist on the songs. And yeah, like I was obsessed. It was so fun. And yeah, and then we just you know, COVID came back, and it always does, and so we had to put the record on pause for like 4 months while LA was in the worst of it. And then we were like, okay, EP is like mainly done. Teddy mixed the whole thing, and then it was just literally deciding when to put it out. And yeah.
And it's coming out, right? February.
And it's coming
11th.
out.
So exciting. You had a huge premiere, right, of Prescriptions?
Yeah.
What was that like? I mean, Zane Lowe's one of the biggest, tastemakers there are.
I know. I like stopped breathing. Like I took a video of myself like reacting to it, and it's just like me like blank face, like the entire time he's like talking about my record and talking about Prescriptions. And then when he said my name, I was like, oh my god. It was so cool. And I like, oh my god, I like want to go. I want him to do that for every song now. I'm like,
right, of course.
Like that was so cool. And I don't know, like hearing my name on the radio, like that was always a dream. And I got to hear that, and it was so cool.
That's amazing. And tell me about Prescriptions. That's a new single, the latest single.
Yeah. So
what's the song about?
It's kind of just about, okay, so when I was in high school, my senior year, I went through like a very serious battle with depression. It was like to the point where like it got so bad where I would like cry because going down the stairs was too hard. Like I was like, I cannot do this. It's like too much. And I was in this relationship where I wasn't allowed to talk about my mental health like at all, which to this day I'm still like, how did I not see that was an issue? But like every time I would talk about being depressed or like being anxious or having a panic attack, he would basically be like, I don't want to hear about it. Like, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh,
And
I'm sure that was helpful for the anxiety.
Yeah, right. And it just shut me down.
I come from that world, and not the world of doing that, but having horrible anxiety and depression. So I know I'm feeling you when you're talking. But wow, to have somebody that just straight up tells you like, I don't want to hear about it. Wow.
Yeah, well, and then it's like, you know, that's like the whole standard of like, okay, well, if I can't open up to this person who's supposed to be my significant other about it, who am I supposed to open up to about it? Because that's like supposed to be the person. And
right, supposed to be able to confide in that person and tell them what's going on, what's happening with you.
Yeah, it was stupid. And I basically decided I would go on medication to kind of like appease him, of being like, hey, I'm gonna actually like make an effort to try to be better, because like it's obvious you don't think I'm trying. And then I like went through like the whole like mental breakdown of like, oh my God, I have to be on medication. Like being on meds means you're broken. Being on meds is like, you know, the worst thing about, you know, whatever. And
finding the one that actually works, and like, it's just like a whole
which is
nightmare in itself.
No, it 100% is. And especially because there's so many like options. And then like I'm on my third antidepressant right now, and I'm like, if I have to switch again, like I seriously am gonna like lose my mind. Right. Like actually, like it's so much work. It's so much work. And so yeah, the song is basically just about all of that, of like all of those emotions of being like, I have to go on medication. I don't want to be on medication. I don't have an outlet to talk about my mental health in the way that I would like. And let me just put this into a song. And then I did.
Wow. Is that, I mean, talk about vulnerable. Was that hard to do, to like show that to people, or you know, present that? Wow.
I feel like every song on this EP was vulnerable for me in some way, especially because that was like it's like my first real relationship. So it's also my first real breakup, and my first real like I had to be an adult when I was like 17, and I had to do like a bunch of grown-up things that like nobody else in my class like had to do. Like I knew I was moving to LA, and I knew that I wasn't going to college, and I knew that like the relationship I was in was gonna end. And like I just basically like had to force myself to do stuff every single day, because I felt so much like internalized pressure on like needing to do everything and like show like a straight face and like keep it up. And it was a lot. And I think about it all the time, and I'm like, I don't even think I could mentally handle that now. I don't know how I did that then.
So were a lot of these songs like, I mean, obviously you had to type or like put yourself back in that mind frame, or like, or were these songs like ideas already kind of happening as you were experiencing that?
Yeah, they were all kind of like written during the relationship, and then in like the last like 2 months after we broke up. So it was all like, I was like basically predicting the future with my writing, of being like, hey, this isn't gonna work, and I don't like how this is going, and you kind of suck, but I don't want to tell you that because I am desperate to be loved. And and so then like after, I feel like it was like every song, Prescriptions was actually like the last one that I originally wrote for the record, because there were 7 and I was only supposed to have like 5. But like thinking about it now, I'm like, I'm so glad that like I had that insight, because I feel like I like wrote songs about the relationship after we broke up, and definitely just tears at me. Like I don't like reopening that wound to try to like write something. So I wrote like one final song like 6 months ago about it, and I was like, okay, I'm never writing about it again. Like that hurt a lot. I don't want to ever do that again.
Do you feel like it's therapeutic to finally just be like, it's all there, it's out. Okay, let's move forward.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, it's nice because I feel like my songs are vague enough where like I could reestablish what it means like 5 years from now and be like, hey, this is still relevant to me and here's why, and like have a different reason. But it's definitely a very vulnerable process. I feel like the only way I ever truly get really vulnerable is through music, and it's definitely a lot being like going in with like some of the greatest songwriters in the world, like, hey,
right,
hi,
and presenting your idea
song.
right,
yeah, I wrote this sad song that means a lot to me, like it please, and then yeah.
Well,
they all did though. Teddy liked all of it, so
that's great. That's great. And obviously the song is doing awesome, and the record you wrote before that is awesome. So I can only imagine that what you've got going on now is going to be incredible. And congratulations on the album, or the EP.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I feel like it should be an album, but like it's totally an EP. Like I always just say record because I'm like, it's in between that. Like it's not real.
There you go, record. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh my God. No, thank you for like having me and letting me spew for like 30 minutes. I'm literally going to go be so talkative after this.
I thought you were going to be like, I'm going to go and be just so like drained after this.
Oh my God. No, this was like my start. Like I came back from my chiropractor appointment and I like hadn't really said words. And so I was like, okay, this will like wake up my brain and like force me to talk.
There you go.
I'm one of those people that takes a couple hours
to get going. Right on. Well, Julianna, thank you again. I have one more question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Just go for it. I was told all the time to not go for it, and I just did it out of spite, and so I did it. And it feels really, really good, like when someone from my hometown DMs me and is like trying to get clout from me, and I'm like, ha ha, I did that. So just go for it. Don't listen to what anyone says, just go for it.